Welcome back to another episode of the Movie Dungeon. I'm your host, Dwayne, the flyest nerd you know, and today we're reviewing House of Dragons Season 3, Episode 3. Let's get into it. Okay, so start off by saying, you know what I'm gonna say. I love the intro. Come on now. I'm starting to get into the little intro a little bit more about watching, how it's constructed, the little cloth ripping and, all the textures and designs and the scenery they paint on that cloth. I love that, all of it. The tapestry to that, fantastic. Let's get into the first little opening scene though. Daemon, with the dragon scenes, going to go see Ormond and making him bend the knee. Now what y'all think? I didn't think he was gonna bend the knee. Now I see that he has a little trick up his sleeve, having a fake Daron and whatnot, but I didn't think he was gonna bend the knee at all. But from the trailers, we did see that Daemon had his dragon and there was sea smoke behind him. But we didn't see Vermithor. And when I saw Vermithor, I was like, oh, this dude is overforming. Get off of him. Stop it. Yeah, no, I wouldn't fight that either. I got this little tiny little blue dragon. Yeah, whatever. And plus he already had a little trick up his sleeve, like I said. I want to see how his overall game plan is, He's in shape to be a good villain, upcoming, a good rival to Rhaenyra. Not for the throne, but just in power. Because they do have some of the treasure when Rhaenyra was going through and trying to see where her bread at, and it's not there. They separated into three little houses, and not little but very big houses, and they separated them into them. She needs her bread, and Ormond being one of the people that have their goat, have their goat. I don't think she knows that yet, but she will. And the fact that she just got played by this little boy, oh, it really didn't help. It really didn't help. One thing I would say though that was apparent is this is the first time I've noticed Allison had done anything good as a parent this entire time. What I mean by that is she sends Daron away. That was the only thing good as a parent she's done. Now she's tried to save Helena, but it's more like I could still help her, but I've already damaged her. Like, she let her stay with Aegon. She didn't send her away. She let her stay with Aegon, get, abused and all this stuff by Aegon and yada, yada, yada. It get, torn in between with Aemon. She really definitely feel like she loved Darren the most, but spend the less time with him, But maybe not that she didn't love him the most. But she definitely wanted to have one of her kids make it. And she chose him for sure. But she says she still doesn't know him, but motherly intentions are still there. And that's probably the first thing I've ever seen she do in a long time. Let's see if that continues. With her being locked up in the little chambers, which I was right on my predictions. It's still gonna drive a wedge between her and Rhaenyra, 100%. Let's talk more about Rhaenyra in this episode. She makes it to King's Landing, and she's her first day on the job, and it doesn't go well. No, truly. There's rats everywhere and shit, and people asking her for shit. People are hungry. People are real hungry, and King's Landing is kind of in ruin, in this little upside down spiral that they're going through, low-key because of Rhaenyra. But we'll get into that in a second. But she does want to rule like her father, and she needs to come with terms that her father ruled in peacetime, and she's ruling in war. Totally two different separate things, two different vibes. Her father never would have done certain things that she's done, and he would have never done the same thing she's done. They're ruling in two different eras, and he definitely didn't fight his other cousins and brothers and sisters like the way that Rhaenyra is doing right now. So that's another thing too. Rhaenyra with her, what is it, her brothers and the other greens, and then later on there's gonna be some people within King's Landing. And she's, like, she's against a lot. And her father didn't have that. He was ready to throw parties, have banquets and celebrations and tournaments and stuff like that. She hasn't done none of that type of stuff. The first banquet she does, she gives the high people rats, because that's what they deserve. But that's going to backfire. Well, speaking of that, that Rhaenyra being the cause of her own problems in King's Landing before she get there was great. It was great. I forgot all the little backstory line about the blockade that she put on King's Landing to starve out the Greens, and then now that's kind of coming back and biting her in the ass. Now she had to steal from, the high people, because they were greedy, because they were bad, because they stayed with Aegon. They learned about being selfish, and they love their selfish ways. So they stole from the poor, and they kept to themselves. And now Rhaenyra is stealing from the rich and give it back to the poor. But once that food runs out for the poor, what are they gonna eat? What are they gonna eat? They gonna go right back to being mad, and let them find out that the blacks put the blockade on them and is going to uprise. And she's gonna have to. I feel like she's gonna have to kill more people. Thank God she didn't kill the little fake Darren. I'm glad that didn't happen. But from the trailer, by the way, they kind of should have never showed us that they were gonna have a fake Darren in the trailer, or at all. Even though we would have caught it and got it, but that was another nitpick. If the dragon was there, what was Darren at? Because the dragon's not gonna listen to nobody else but his rider. So where was he at? Was he in a little armor behind the dragon? Like, what's going on? That is a little small nitpick, but I didn't understand that little key. I was just like, where is he at? The dragon should be tripping out. Like, he doesn't have his rider. He's surrounded by all these people. So I was like, oh, he must be disguised in the back. That's the best way I can come up with it. Yeah, but from her doing the blockade to now she going over Corlys. Oh, why did she do that to him? Now listen, I didn't really care about him saying that you guys can have my name. Corlys said it to his son, his bastards. I didn't really care for that moment. I did want it to be more epic, so I could care for it. But nonetheless, I still love the Valerians. And her not letting him fully legitimize these bastards may prompt him to say his brother's last final words before being headed. Your sons are bastards. Bastards. I laugh. I laughed the first time when I heard it, and I laugh now. And it's really going to come in between, because, things have to happen, and by the time we get to Game of Thrones, there's no Valerians around. Just they're steel, So we'll see how that goes. It really does suck that she did that to him. I mean, granted, she really didn't have full power, because she has to be crowned in front of all these people and have a little ceremony and to be recognized amongst the common folk and the higher ups. But she doesn't get that, and because of that, she really doesn't have full. I mean, she does, because who's gonna tell her different? She got dragons. Shut the fuck up. But she really doesn't have the power to give anybody anything. She's making all these broken promises, pretty much. And of course, he sees through all that bullshit. It's like, girl, your kids was bastards too. Like, and I knew that. So it made me think, did he know his son was gay? Did he know his son was gay? And he just played along with, I didn't know. I thought But, this is parent. They probably knew before even the son knew, But for sure, that's going to backfire on her. And that was probably the biggest thing that she could have done that's going to F her up in the long run, And, God, why did she do it? Why did she do it? And that's probably one of my favorite parts of the episode was that scene of them talking, because he says it loud enough for the people in the back. They stopped doing what they doing so they could hear. They heard that man. Her little Queen's Guard, he heard that man. You know what I mean? He was right there. So it's like she let him disrespect. Isn't she gonna have to? She gonna. Oh, I hope she don't do it. I hope she don't kill him. I hope she don't kill him. We saw what Damon did to the brother for disrespecting. I hope, what's his hope? She don't tell Damon. Let's just hope she don't tell Damon, because Lord, we don't need that. But can you imagine though? It'd be those two. Anyway. But my overall review for this episode was pretty great. House of Dragons has continued to blow me away. This is still going down as so far being the best season that they have produced right now. And I didn't feel the runtime of this. I got to double check how long the episode went, but it didn't feel that long. And I kind of liked that, and I kind of was like, damn, I want more, which is a good thing you want on the show. So let's just hope they keep going. But I do have predictions. Prediction time. I do got predictions, though. A very sad one, though. Kind of talking a little bit more about what I talked about. If she doesn't give him permission, Corlys, doesn't give him permission to legitimize his sons, when things happen, before I get into it, this is a spoiler alert. If you don't want to get into it, if you don't want to hear it, I understand. If you do want to check out, this is a perfect time. Thank you for watching. So like and subscribe. But if you want to keep going, this is what I kind of know from the books mixed in with my predictions, what they might do on the show. So if you're ready, here we go. I think her pushing Corlys away drives the fact that he doesn't legitimize any of his bastards. Something's going to happen, because we all know by the events of Game of Thrones, Valerians are all dead. That's going to cause these bastards to die, as we probably do know from the books. And the name is going to go so short, but it's going to be from her doing. Because if they would have legitimized him, let's say Alan might have had a kid. He might have hooked up with some broad, did the do, had a little baby. Keep the building. His granddaughter's already Targaryen, so that's he can't look that route. So, and we all know, Corlys is probably gonna get capped, especially after his little comments. And it's gonna be sad that this house ends because of another Targaryen bullshit, over some Targaryen bullshit. Just give the man what he worked so hard. He worked so hard. He lost everything, and you can't even give him just a simple fact of a word. Come on, man. Come on. But she's going through a lot this episode, and we'll see how the next one plays off. But overall, view of this episode was great. Like I said, thank you for watching the Movie Dungeon. I am your host, Dwayne, the flyest nerd you know. Thank you, and deuces.